With a premier superhero team like the Avengers, there comes a particular set of rules and expectations, and there are a number of heroes who have broken those rules on multiple different occasions and found themselves booted from the team. Moon Knight is arguably one of the coolest Marvel characters. His aesthetic is top-notch. He's dark and gritty, he's basically insane, and he doesn't give a damn what pretty much anyone thinks about him or his methods. He officially joined the West Coast Avengers in Volume 2, number 21, but this was all under the influence of Khonshu, so he left after about 2 years, but then he joined the Avengers proper. While there was a time that he completely burned his Avengers card because of how he handled the situation with Dr. Doom, he did eventually join them again. That is, until the age of Khonshu. When Khonshu became plagued by visions of the end of the world at the hands of an army of demon Mephistos, Moon Knight basically defeated and took the powers of Iron Fist, Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, and Thor, wiped out Mephisto, and gave the powers to Khonshu, who then took over New York City. In response, Mark Spector defeated Khonshu himself using the powers of the Phoenix Force before he cast off the Phoenix when it tried to corrupt him. After that, Mark was pretty much good with not rejoining the Avengers, who didn't help him against Mephisto in the first place, even though they totally offered him his spot back. Elvin Halliday was just a teenager when he was exposed to the classic superhero generator, mysterious toxic chemicals. He was then transformed from a teenager into a pretty powerful adult with incredible strength and durability, and he started going by the name Rage, just as an angsty teenager would. Now, Rage hid his true age when he first met the Avengers during a battle with the Sons of the Serpent, and they invited him to join the team as a probationary member. Obviously, though, you can't really keep something like your age hidden from the Avengers for too long, and they eventually learned of his true age, and he was demoted to a member in training. But you see, Rage had also developed a relationship with the New Warriors. So, when the Warriors asked for his assistance on one of their missions, he helped them out by stealing an Avengers Quinjet. As you can imagine, this cost him his place with the Avengers, but by that point he was pretty much more interested in being a New Warrior. In the comic book universe, Hank Pym and his partner, Janet Van Dyne, were not only heroes in a relationship, but founding members of the Avengers. Their life together was not as seemingly well structured as it appears in the MCU, however, especially when Hank experienced a mental breakdown after being suspended from the team. He accidentally dropped and smashed some vials containing various unknown gases. The released gases gave Pym a radical temporary personality change that was basically a severe case of schizophrenia. He took the new identity of Yellowjacket, kidnapped Van Dyne, and proposed marriage to her, as Pym had long wanted to do so. Realizing that Yellowjacket was actually Hank Pym, Van Dyne decided to play along, fearing that she would worsen his psychological condition if she did otherwise. And their relationship was bad, with Pym feeling like a useless scientist and being jealous of his wife's success as a fashion designer. It all took a disturbing turn when Hank physically struck Janet, highlighting the depths to which he had sunk. Not shrunk, although that would be funny because that's his power. Anyways, while Hank eventually returned to heroism, his behavior and the activation of an evil robot to try and gain back his bad reputation got him court-martialed by the Avengers and booted from the team. Now, the West Coast Avengers may not be the Avengers, but they are Avengers, and they have welcomed quite a few interesting members to the team over the years. Aaron Stack, aka X-51 the Machineman, was definitely one of the strangest of the bunch. Machineman became a reserve member of the team who was called in to help hold the fort during the Operation Galactic Storm storyline. While he didn't really work all that much with the team, he still remained a reserve member for quite a few years. Unfortunately though, Machineman was destroyed and then rebuilt, but this time using advanced Sentinel technology. This Sentinel technology made him turn on the mutant members of the Avengers due to the programming of Master Mold within his new body. With this attack, coupled with the fact that there wasn't really much they could do, all they could do was terminate his reserve member status. Sorry. The hero Noh Varr is a Kree from the alternate reality of Earth 200080, and I'm going to be completely honest here, he is strange. This Kree had his DNA altered with the genes of a cockroach, and they also gave him nanobiology, which also gave him a whole bunch of cool abilities. He has spent a good amount of time with the Young Avengers while he was running around as Marvel Boy, and then he briefly worked with the Dark Avengers until he learned that they were the Dark Avengers and were really just a bunch of villains playing heroes. He did finally join the main main team of Avengers with the new identity of Protector. Protector got a new costume and a powerful pair of negabands by the Kree Supreme Intelligence. He helped during the team's battle with the Hood. However, after all of that, all the time that he put in, now that he was finally on the Avengers proper, he completely turned on them for the Kree during Avengers vs. X-Men, which led to him obviously being kicked off the team again. The Incredible Hulk has had a long and pretty inconsistent relationship with the Avengers. As most people know, he was one of the founding members, but he quit the team in the second issue because they didn't trust him. Since then, he has worked with the team, been on other sub-teams, and he has obviously fought against them on multiple occasions. In Avengers Assemble Volume 2, the Hulk came into conflict with Aquarius of the Zodiac, and he teamed up with the Avengers, but decided to stick with his heroic buds to face that villain, and then Thanos, and then the Phoenix 5 during Avengers vs. X-Men. Officially returning to their ranks in Avengers Volume 5, the team was now dealing with the potential end of literally everything thanks to the Incursions. Despite his past with them, Hulk eventually joined up with the Illuminati, helping them to find a solution to the Incursions, which included completely decimating other worlds. Once the Illuminati's actions were revealed to the rest of the world, the group had to go on the run from everyone, including the Avengers. Va-Ni Gast was the daughter of the Grand Master, one of the elders of the universe. She grew up exploring the cosmos by her father's side. When her father's title was threatened, she was granted teleportation powers that also had the added benefit of being able to alter people's memories. Va-Ni took up the hero name Voyager and headed to Earth. Now Voyager met up with the Avengers and used her powers to insert herself into their memories as Valerie Vector, a founding member of the team who had bit the dust in the battle against the Squadron Sinister, which had removed her from existence and from everyone's memory. Luckily, the Avengers' longtime butler, Edwin Jarvis, had collapsed due to an illness shortly before Voyager's arrival. So, naturally, when Voyager arrived at the hospital Jarvis had just woken up in, he exposed the truth that Voyager had never actually been an Avenger. While this obviously didn't do her any favors, and she was pretty much booted from the team, she did admit that this was all the plan of her father, while she was actually inspired by the heroes and helped the Avengers to save the day in the end. Now before Carol Danvers finally took on the role of Captain Marvel, she had gone through a whole cacophony of other names since starting her superhero career as Miss Marvel. For a while she went out into space and was calling herself Binary, and then when she came back and joined up with the Avengers again, she took on the super cool, super edgy name of Warbird. Now Carol was really going through a tough time at this point as she had gone through a huge reduction in her power. That, coupled with a few other factors, had led Carol to having a bit of a problem when it came to drinking. Tony Stark is not the only one to struggle with it. Now, in response, the Avengers gathered together to try and formally deal with the issue of Carol's problem, which had started to affect her duties as a hero and an Avenger. This led to a vote, but when that vote began to turn against her, instead of just facing it, Carol decided to just quit before she could be officially kicked out. She literally pulled a "you can't fire me because I quit." Luckily, this did push her to seek help for her addiction, and she would later return. The Scarlet Witch's career as a hero has been troubled, to say the least, mostly due to her unstable mental health. Despite the fact that Wanda's psychological issues have wreaked havoc across the Marvel Universe, she has been a vital part of the team since joining in 1965. But she was also a huge reason the team completely disassembled in Avengers Disassembled. Anyways, to keep a long-ish story short, Wanda and the Wasp were just chilling by the pool when Wasp decided to mention Wanda's kids. But the existence of her children had been wiped from her memory, and when Wasp brought it up, it brought all those memories flooding back, and Wanda absolutely lost it. Several things happened next. For starters, Scott Lang Ant-Man lost his life when a previously deceased Jack of Hearts just showed up and detonated, and while the heroes were trying to figure out what just happened, Vision showed up as well, saying that he was not in control of himself and that he is sorry, as he also began to detonate. And then Jennifer Walters' She-Hulk began to get uncharacteristically raged and tore Vision in half. Next, we saw Tony Stark at a UN conference randomly start to act as though he was incredibly intoxicated even though he hadn't had a single drink, and he threatened the Latvian ambassador, and then a whole invasion by the Kree just randomly came out of nowhere, resulting in the passing of Hawkeye. die. And then the Kree just randomly left as quickly as they showed up. All of that was actually Wanda Maximoff using her reality warping magic, and obviously that didn't go well. And finally, there is pretty much no other Avenger who represents the team more than Steve Rogers, Captain America. He has led and/or handpicked the members of almost every incarnation of the team, and their key slogan, Avengers Assemble, is like his thing. He represents everything that superheroes stand for, always fighting for the world as it should be rather than how it is. But funnily enough, this has pitted him not only against the government, but even the Avengers themselves. Now, while you could say Civil War split the heroes into two different Avengers teams, technically Iron Man's side was the official team, and when Cap opposed the Registration Act, he basically booted himself out from the team. Sure, he would just create his own Avengers team because Cap will always be an Avenger even when he's technically not an Avenger, but he was not technically one for a hot minute after this event. I feel like this is gonna get me in trouble from you guys, so let me know your thoughts down below. But that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching on Top 10 Nerd. I'm Adam Andrews. I'll catch you all on the flippity flop, but until then, stay safe and peace out, you nerds.